Hello everybody, my name is Dr. James Greenwood. I am a vet and a television presenter, but most importantly, I am an ambassador to the incredible charity SPANA. Now, I'm very sorry that I can't be with you all today in person, but I was hoping to possibly just share some of my experiences of working with SPANA, especially when a few years ago I was lucky enough to take a trip over to Marrakech to witness firsthand the incredible work that they're doing to help improve the lives of working animals abroad. So I had a couple of days in Morocco. We had a bit of time in Marrakech and then we went to some of the more rural communities as well to see the clinics out there. But the first thing we did was visit the mobile farrier. Now, honestly, the complexities around a horse's foot is quite literally mind-boggling. So I started out in equine practice, and it gets drilled into you at vet school how important good farrier care is and good foot care. So we visited this clinic, and essentially it was exactly as you imagine. You know, there's a car park. It was like a drop in and get your horse's feet checked. You kind of had this car park with a kind of a snaking queue of horses and carts, all ready to get their feet checked, which was just so incredible to see that these horse owners would engage with SPANA and understood just how important foot care really is. And the fact that this is provided for by SPANA is quite literally invaluable. So from there we went to the caleche horses, which are the horses and carts that you see in Marrakech pulling tourists around basically. And SPANA is involved in the inspection and kind of regulation around the welfare of those horses. So we were looking for example, the band around the ankle, which has kind of got the license plate or the license number of each horse. The caleche itself, checking that the cart fits the horse properly, that it's not causing pressure sores, that the equipment on the horse isn't rubbing, the bit, for example, in the mouth isn't causing any cuts or sores. And it was, you know, it was quite an interesting thing to see, because the presence of SPANA means that they are kind of the horse owners are checking themselves as well. You know, they want to impress. You know, they don't want to be pulled up, and I suppose the embarrassment of being pulled to one side to say, you know, your equipment isn't working or what have you. So, you know, the sort of the mentality around it was an interesting thing to witness as well, the presence of SPANA in the city here, but also the provision again by SPANA of water fountains for the horses. You know, these sort of drinking spots, so that on the route around the city the horse could stop and actually take on water, fresh, clean drinking water, which sounds so simple, but without that, you know, the horse's welfare is so significantly compromised in blistering heat, pulling a cart all day long. To have, I think it was 8 fountains along the way provided by SPANA, again, is just incredible. Now, the next day we went out to the rural communities and we were joined by Professor Hassan, who was just the loveliest guide and so committed to his work over there. And we visited initially a rural clinic where I learnt all about the bit exchange program. So this is essentially where horses can come in for whatever reason, or working donkeys, and their bit, if the bit looks like it's causing problems, so for example, if that's cutting the tongue so that the horse isn't eating properly, or if the lip itself has become, you know, incredibly sore or infected, then often that's down to these homemade bits. But through education, you know, and this exchange program, we were explaining to the owners that actually a properly fitting bit will not only be able to offer you better sort of handleability with the horse, but it will improve the horse's overall condition as well. So the idea is that the owner hands in their homemade bit in exchange for a professional, well-made, properly fitted bit. And a massive highlight of the trip here was that whilst we were sitting down to have some lunch, a donkey, one of the donkeys that was in for hernia repair, actually gave birth to a baby donkey, which I've never seen in my life before ever, and it was incredible. It was incredible. This little baby donkey born right in front of us in the stable whilst we were there. So I will never ever forget that. And then from there, we then went on to one of the hospital clinics. So this was where, for example, horses that might need to be hospitalised for a few days, maybe after kind of a complicated surgery or nasty wounds that needed daily treatment. There's a horse, for example, that had been there with a really severe colic. So anything that was a bit more complicated could be brought to one of these clinics. But what was really interesting is that whilst we were on our tour looking around and understanding what was going on, there was actually a group of maybe sort of 20 to 30 school kids also on a tour, really engaged, hands going up, lots of questions. And it was incredible to see. You know, I think this is another sort of string to SPANA's bow, as it were, that they are not only focusing on the veterinary treatment and the animal care. A huge amount of what I learned over there was how involved they are also in education. And that's education of owners currently to sort of things like the bit exchange program that we've just talked about, but also future generations to make sure that the horse and donkey owners of tomorrow can provide better for their working animals, and so the cycle continues. So it was an incredible experience, and one that I will honestly never forget. I know SPANA has been doing an amazing job helping working animals during the COVID-19 crisis. It's been an incredibly difficult time for the working animals of the world whose owners are struggling to look after them and feed their animals as their livelihoods and incomes collapsed. Yet SPANA has continued to provide emergency treatment, feed and care to the working animals across its core countries, working within local guidelines and restrictions. Despite exceptional demand for its help, the charity is doing an exceptional job helping working animals. I am so proud of everything that they have done in the past year and continue to do. I hope you enjoyed today's event and that it gives you a real sense of what SPANA is achieving right now. And I hope to speak to you and possibly even meet you at a future SPANA event. And until then, take care and thanks for your support.